I'll start by saying my inspiration for getting into fostering was my wife, really. She came up with the suggestion, and we discussed it, and you know, as a good husband, you agree. No, but so my inspiration was my wife, really. She had a deep urge to give back what she was going to herself. But yeah, that's and I think we've been doing it for 7 years now. Yeah.
And for me, it was because as children, we were in the care system from an early age. I went into a children's home when I was about 15. I was only in there for about 6 months. But then my life sort of changed and turned around. So it was just time to give back. I was a care assistant and I did domiciliary. So I was out and about looking after the elderly. But I'd also worked in learning disability schools with children with learning disabilities as well, so I kept very busy.
So my job, and still is, as a nurse, really. So I work at Shrewsbury A&E Department as a nurse. And I've been since 2012 or 2013, one of those, yeah. And I've still been able to carry that on. I enjoy the success stories. I mean, our first placement, we'll always refer back to that because I think we were really fortunate and blessed with that because we saw someone who needed to make some serious drastic changes in order to keep their child, and they worked with us, we worked with them, with the agency as well, and they were able to make that transition now to living independently, managing their own affairs. That for me, yeah, the reward on cases like those, placements like those, for me is good. Yeah, it's good.
For me, it's seeing the growth. I think when you see the growth in the children that you have and how the confidence and the maturity that grows in them, that's what really spurs me on, because you think we've done something right, just to give them that oomph. For me, the hardest is the goodbyes. When you have like mum and babies and things like that, and if mum doesn't want to keep baby, or mum decides that she's going to walk, and then you're left with this baby, and it's really heart-wrenching, the goodbye of that. But then on the flip side of that, you have a child that then goes on to be adopted and it's successful, and you think, you really have to weigh it up. It's really hard them leaving when your placements move on, but you have to carry on and just remember that you put your heart and soul into it. So even though it's hard, there's some bonuses there along the way.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think if we're talking especially about babies, you develop a certain bond, and when they have to make that transition from your home to an adoption stage or phase, yeah, it takes some adjustment. So that's hard as well. There are a number of other things that makes it challenging, but I think hard is probably the right term to use in that context. It can be hard. I mean, we've had babies who've gone on to successful adoption, and it was pretty difficult to then close the door and come back in here and they're not here. So yeah.
When you've had a baby from a day old,
yeah,
and they're over a year, you've bonded so much with that child. To see them go, a little bit of you goes, but it's easier if you get straight on with it and go for another placement straight away, because if you sit back, you're going to really ponder and debate whether you're doing the right thing.
You have to have what I would say an active recovery, which is basically not sort of wallowing in what used to be or what is now no longer the case, but you have to just move on as quickly as you can, actively with another placement or with your link worker, so that you can carry on really. That's the hardest bit.
We have a fantastic link worker, and I can't knock that. And there's always a lot of support there if you need it. If and when you need the support, it's there, and they'll put things in place if you need them. So it's like having somebody on your shoulder constantly to give you that help if it's needed, if and when it's needed.
The support and provision that's made available for you in challenging times, especially, obviously, and we've had some of those. I don't think we would probably still be in it with freedom if it wasn't the way it was in terms of the level of support and professionalism. And I mean, our link worker, there's nothing but praise for her, really. To be honest with you, yeah. Well, we got in a routine straight away. Paula was very instrumental with doing the homeschooling as well, so which you'll go into details more about. I did some things that it wasn't part of my role. It had never been a part of my role since we've been married for 15 odd years, like shopping, and because of my work. So I was the one going out of the house, so we kept it like that. So I would end up doing shopping, which in 15 years, I hadn't done that. So for me, it was getting used to that. So I knew I had to do that anyway, do certain things. And Paula got straight on with homeschooling aspect of things.
I thought it was important to get into a routine straight away. So I decided that we'd set a timetable up. So I sat with the girls and we talked about the lessons that we wanted to do. We put the main ones in straight away, but then we talked about other things that we'd like to do. We did a timetable and we worked by that timetable. We worked up till lunchtime, so from 9 o'clock till normally about 1 o'clock we did schooling. We'd have lunch and then they had a free afternoon. We did. We learnt quite a lot actually. We learnt sign language. Yeah. We did some sign language.
Arts and crafts.
Yeah, arts and crafts. Baking. Oh my days, we did that much baking. They know a lot about the body now.
Yeah.
We learnt about the body. We did some science experiments, talking about hot air and cold air and which needs more room. So we learnt quite a lot, and for little ones, their reading hit off big time because you had got that time to sit with them. When they come home from school, you need to read with them, you need to do tea, you need to shower, the normal things, but they also need some time of their own. So having that time, it helped us bond, it helped us to help them. So their abilities and their reading has come on. And writing has come on so much.
And there was an element of consistency with that because we did that from Monday to Friday. As to mirror what it would be in a school week. But it was pretty good. For my church, I've been doing some exercise videos for my church, my region of church, which I am the health director for about 18 or so churches in Shropshire and Wales. And one of my roles is to lead in health promotion, which is quite easy for me to do because it pretty much is a lifestyle for me, really. So I did a few videos, exercise videos for children, adults, a good variety of levels, and I also was doing news reporting on health-related matters that have hit the news in the week. So I was doing a lot of videoing and stuff like that, and I think Maureen came across one of those, and she Becky spoke to me about it and got me put me across to Maureen, who spoke to me about what she'd seen and wondered and asked me if I would do the same for Freedom during the lockdown, during the holiday, which I gladly accepted. So that's how it came about. I think she saw one of the videos I did, which is on YouTube and all over the place, Facebook, and just asked if I could do the same for Freedom, which is no problem. It's a lifestyle for me. I mean, I'm a gym junkie, if you want to call it that way.
This is a 4 a.m. get up to go to the gym.
It's just a lifestyle for me, and I've trained with many people from different ages, different abilities, giving advice, tips, pointers. In fact, I'm taking my lifestyle into my study in September, so I'm doing my PhD in September on exercise and religion and looking at the two. So it's pretty much something that I go to bed with.
Then he runs a basketball club as well on a Monday
so
evening.
Yeah, I do tougher community basketball, just for guys, for adults, from all different abilities as well. So I run that. So I'm very much into this community cohesiveness with physical fitness activity as well. And I try to incorporate that again with my role in the church as a health director as well. So yeah, it's something that's it's in my blood, I think. Yeah.
I love fostering. There's no two ways about that. I love it. For new people coming in, there are lots and lots of stories out there, both good and bad. But I do believe you have to do it yourself to realise how good it actually is. Don't always believe the stories that you hear. And if you work for somebody, an agency or whoever that has good support, your quid's in. There can be hard times, there are allegations, and children make allegations all the time, but as long as you know that what you've done is right, don't worry about it. It'll be sorted.
Yeah, I mean, I'd add to that by saying, especially if you're a couple, like ourselves coming in, there's always one out of the two who is the main carer. So my role is very much a supportive role, and I guess for a couple, for example, if a couple's coming in, especially if you already have a family, children, stuff like that, be open, very, very open, more open. Expect to be to be as open-minded as you possibly can, because the dynamics in your home is going to change drastically. Obviously, that varies on case-to-case placements, but it's also understanding your role as a couple, and I think that is one key element to understand from my perspective. I had to make some serious adjustments supportively to Paula, and it will be the same for any couple coming in. You know, understand your role in the whole recipe of the package that you're giving to these children, because combined it is a package, and you do play a role, and it's just understanding that, and you get that understanding with time. you know, and with experience. But one thing I can say, if you come into freedom, from our experience, you will be supported. You will be supported. And the job is, it's almost like my job in A&E. No 2 days are the same. You know, even if you have a placement for 10 years, you know, there are things that will change on a day-to-day basis. So your life will become very varied and unknown for tomorrow. But that's the fun part of it as well.
You need to take yourself away
Sure.
and have some
You gotta
family time
recharge. You have to recharge.
without your place.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. That's a very key one actually, because you don't want to be burnt out. And if you already had a family, you're coming into this, you know, especially if you already have a family, you need to maintain that unit. So yeah, that recharges you.
Having some time away from your placement, whether it's a couple of hours or you know, an hour or a couple of hours, but just to be your own family unit is needed, whether it's weekly or monthly. It's important to have that space and bring yourselves back together. Touch bases.
Yeah, because it's relentless. You know, it's there are all sort of meetings, and depending on the nature, the severity of the case, the placement, you need to recharge. You need to just assign or allocate time where you set aside for you and your spouse or your children, so that you can just recharge and reconnect.
Every evening I spend time on my own with my daughter. On purpose, because you know that throughout the day with her there's 4 of them and they're all fighting for your attention. So if you're spending most of your day looking after the little 3, come to an evening, I spend time with my daughter when the others have gone to bed. That's our time.
Or we go for a meal.
Yeah, go out for a meal or just do something as a family. And for Hezron and I, would go for a walk.
Oh yeah.
Just to
again,
gives
exercise.
us time.
Has to be exercise.
Gives us time to air the issues, doesn't it? Away from home. Because the only time that you have to talk to each other really is if you're away from home or in bed, because that's the only place that is private. So most of your talking gets done in bed.